And a very warm welcome to the 120th Security Thought Leadership webinar. And today it's a little bit different. Now, you know the idea of thought leadership, it's to inspire thinking, create ideas, generate new and different ways of looking at issues. The idea being if we do that today, we might get a better type of security tomorrow. Indeed, many of us would argue it's the prerequisite for a better type of security in the future. And today is a bit different, as I was saying, because after this 45-minute webinar, we are presenting the 2021 South African OSPAs Awards. There are categories, 4 categories, and the winners and finalists will be announced after the webinar. We'll be letting you know who they are, where I'll be joined by Erica Gibbons and Dave Dodge, who will be helping me make the awards. So please stick around after the webinar to see the presentation of the awards. Now then, let's get back to the subject of today. We have a new normal, but do we have a new security to match? Examining the implications for South Africa. Well, it might be said at the most we're merely working towards a new normal, but let's find out more. We've got 4 panelists today, all coming at this subject from a rather different angle. So in a minute, I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. And once they've done that, I will, as normal, invite each of the panelists to make their opening statements. 3 minutes when they get to say whatever they want to say about the topic. If you, the audience, would like to get your questions in using the question and answer button at the bottom of your screen, we'll endeavour to incorporate that in the ensuing discussion. So question and answer at the bottom of your screen, get your questions in early, and we'll endeavour to incorporate that. Without further ado then, let's meet our panellists, and let's start off by going to Tony. Tony, please introduce yourself.
Thanks, Martin. My name is Tony Boertes. I am the National Administrator of the Security Association of South Africa, SASA. I've been in the private security sector since the mid-80s, running a security business until 2009, at the same time administering the A Security Association. In 2010, was project manager for the 4 largest stadiums in the 2010 Football World Cup. And after that, I retired in inverted commas and spent full time administering the association. Our association currently has in excess of 80 members who employ collectively over 100,000 security officers. Our main emphasis at the association is obviously upskilling the industry and fighting the scourge of non-compliance, which is, again, unfortunately, very, very rife in our industry. And it's been made even more so during the pandemic that we are all saddled with at the moment.
Tony, thank you very much indeed for that. I'm going to now say thank you for you, and let's ask Dorovo. Dorovo, to introduce yourself, please.
Thank you very much, Martin. My name is Dorovo. I am a professor in the Department of Criminology and Security Sciences, the College of Law, the University of South Africa. I spent a number of years in the South African Police Service, and I am presently involved in research on safety and security issues in South Africa.
Dorovo, thank you very much indeed, and look forward to coming back to both of you for your opening statement in a minute. Let's now go to Andre. Andre, please introduce yourself.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Andre Duvenage. I am currently the chairman of TALPAS South Africa, which is the Transported Asset Protection Association. I'm also the CEO of a company called Secure Logistics in the cargo protection industry. And I've had a 14-year stint in the South African Police Services in the 90s, especially working with truck hijackers. Thank you.
Interesting. Didn't know that, Andre. And finally, let's go to meet Johan. Johan, can you introduce yourself, please?
Good day. I'm Johan Deploy. I've been in the security industry for 47 years, from the police into the private security environment. Been in the private security environment since 1981. And have played whatever leading role I can, and when I've been able to do that. So I've enjoyed the time, and hopefully, the couple of words of wisdom that I may be able to add today, that we can give someone something new to think about.
Thank you very much indeed, Johan. Well, you normally do in normal conversation. I'm sure you will do on the webinar. So let's, without further ado then, these four panelists, by the way, I want to tell you, have also been very instrumental in the South African OSPAs. So I'm very, very grateful to them for that. Let's hear what they've got to say on this topic then. Tony, can we have your opening statement, Tony? Just a couple of minutes from you, if you wouldn't mind, about your thoughts on where we are in South Africa. Tony.
Yeah, thanks again. As you said, the topic is a new normal, but do we have a new security? The private security industry has, since the advent of COVID-19, been faced with challenges such as never before. I believe that no industry was prepared for the pandemic, and that we, the private security industry as a whole, were likewise caught napping, playing catch up with regard to the new national lockdown of March last year. The PPE, essential service permits and the likes, was new to us all, and simply put, the blind leading the blind in the early stages. The industry reacted quite quickly and effectively, although I honestly believe that the private security sector did a lot to limit the transmission of the pandemic, but we could have done more. All security services providers were affected by the pandemic and continue to do so. Many clients cancelling or dramatically reducing their security needs, while a few operating mainly in the retail security sector managed to offset their losses from that came from the industrial and commercial sectors. Transporting security officers to and from work sites, etc., still maintaining COVID-19 social distancing protocols was a mammoth task, but we did it. Consumers, on the other hand, have been generally hard hit financially, which resulted in a serious pushback against statutory salary increases and costs to them as consumers. Many even cancelling or reducing their services, or even going as far as replacing professional security companies with fly-by-night security companies who grossly and illegally exploited their workers and still continue to do so. And I must emphasize there that shame on those consumers who collaborate with illegal and unprofessional security companies, while knowing full well that such savings can only come from the pockets of the security officers that are there to protect their assets. Very important is that there are currently developments underway to upskill both security service providers and their security officers to even further assist in combating COVID-19. This is already working inter alia in India, where we have a bilateral reciprocal agreement with CAPSI, the Indian Security Association, to cooperate in all matters relating to private security, with an emphasis on further curbing the spread of the pandemic through intensive training of their 9 million security officers in the subcontinent of India. We hope to launch this in South Africa shortly. Furthermore, CIRA, the private security regulator in South Africa, is busy upgrading their training regime, which, although costs of such could result in costs being passed on to the service providers, but will further upskill the security officers, especially with the increase of electronics in our sector. The three major barriers facing us at the moment, other than COVID-19, are the extreme levels of non-compliance in the private security industry, which we hope the regulatory bodies can curb. The massive attrition rate in the industry, close to 40% per annum, which can only reduce once the above-mentioned challenge of non-compliance has been addressed. And the third one is improving training standards, also providing for electronic equipment usage, which does not currently form part of general security officer training. Thanks.
Tony, sorry, is that done, Tony?
That's it, thank you.
Tony, thank you very much indeed. Excellent. So plenty of stuff we can come back to there. Interesting. Once again, I didn't know a lot of that. Very, very interesting. Dorival, for a different type of insight, can we come to you for your opening statement, please?
Thank you, Martin. Over the past year, security in South Africa has underwent a dramatic change, mainly due to this COVID-19 pandemic. Now, crime at the same time is also very rampant, and if we look at violent crime, corruption is also becoming endemic, and crime syndicates are operating nationally, internationally, within the country as well. As social standards and expectations move on, police and private security are expected to adapt accordingly. So within South Africa, the political, social, and economic conditions are dictating the development of behavior in the country at the moment. As far as the security industry in South Africa is concerned, COVID-19 has been and is still a shocking new reality that we have to deal with on an ongoing basis. The way security practitioners used to work and the method of working with colleagues and clients and holding meetings on a daily basis have radically changed, with new practices and processes and habits being set for the new normal. The security practitioners I talk to are not entirely sure if we will ever go back to normal. They are of a strong view that the need to find a new security match as soon as possible for the new normal. If you look at the issues that impact during this period, most of it was touched on by my colleague, Sir Tony Botus. I would like to touch on the security officer's skills and needs that need to be adapted to the new normal. If you look at updated technology and other integrated services that are now coming into the picture in terms of the new normal, we need to get our security officers trained in advanced technology. Remember that guarding services play a major role patrolling and access management. Now, in the new normal, that is still playing the major role. And our security officers are operating, with the usual tools and technology, example, CCTV cameras, etc., what they rely on. So technology has driven people, to be more passionate about what they are doing and not to be scared of technology. But, if you get a person that hasn't been involved, at a technological level, it creates a bit of, an issue. And this also is of concern to labor unions. I mean, whether the specific individual is going to lose the job or not, or the person is in a position to be skilled in advanced technology, what happens to them? And it is expected of security officers to do much more than what is normally expected of them in this new normal. Risk management is something that's always managed externally where clients are involved, but now you got to manage risk within the company itself. So I think security business units have a challenge there. And we need to look at exactly how the providers can address the risks within their business entities as well, because otherwise it's going to affect business out there. At the same time, I think what was mentioned by Botus, I would like to touch on that as well, that businesses, some of them have reduced their staff and they cannot employ the number of security officials that they had in terms of contracts. So business is actually being affected negatively in terms of some of the providers. Maybe the big providers, yeah, they're probably doing well, but I think they also have serious issues as well, because in the new normal, you got to look for advanced technology to do most of the human work. And if you look at the 4IR and the AI, this is playing a vital role at this point in time in the industry.
Dorval, thank you very much indeed. You're can I just say to the audience, if you'd like to get your questions in, as soon as we heard from the final two panelists, we'll invite you to ask a question and we'll address it. So get your questions in early if you'd like to pick up on something said. Without further ado then, Andre, your opening statement, please.
Thank you. Health security became the unexpected face of workplace security in 2020 due to COVID. Companies had to rethink how to operate to ensure that staff could operate without risking illness. Studies indicated that up to 50% of staff would resign if companies do not handle it correctly. The fact that health issues around the pandemic suddenly threatened business resilience was a first for probably many companies and workers out there and boards of companies even. Not only did the health concerns pose a serious threat, but coupled with governmental interventions, lockdowns, there was not much business could do and many closed shop and hundreds of thousands found themselves without a job and income to provide for their families and themselves. So adapting to the new environment, syndicates very quickly got wind of, in South Africa specifically, that millions of face masks were imported, and ironically from China, if we believe that it originated there, the COVID-19 pandemic. The group started hijacking delivery trucks at a rapid rate and also increased hijacking of courier vans we saw on a daily basis because of increased online orders, because shops were just closed. Now, that resulted in many security challenges, and we're still seeing those security challenges on a daily basis. Syndicates noted that courier vans were less protected than bigger delivery trucks because of budget constraints, obviously, and it was easy pickings for them to get their hands on electronics such as cell phones. This trend is still continuing. So decentralized offices or working spaces has created a problem in that the threat of theft of IP increased. Largely staffs and executives working out of the office, away from offices and during travels can easily be targeted, and you can imagine the types of attacks that companies endure ever since that took place, that people could work from anywhere they basically liked. The threat has largely increased now, and we are down the road with COVID and many others working remotely. This increased the need for strategic security planning around business communications, executives, business travels, and security response should data leaks occur. The insider threat has greatly increased because people are much more exposed to outsider influence. Obviously, in many instances, they are not aware of these influences that can affect them, and people get access to personal laptops, to personal information, and it can create a big critical damage to the business reputation and significant losses, obviously. On the TAPA front specifically, we will see in future, I believe, more TAPA certifications because it deals with cargo protection, it deals with warehouse protection, and it's in many instances for blue chip companies, manufacturers, it's a definite that they have to have a certification, either a TSR or FSR, or even both. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you very much indeed. Very interesting. Finally, let's go to Johan and get your opening statement. Don't forget, audience, you'd like to ask a question, please get it in as soon as you can. Use the question and answer button at the bottom of your screen, and we'll endeavour to come for it after we heard from our final panelist. Johan, your opening statement, please.
Thank you very much. Just a word of congratulations for the 120th webinar, because this is something that one of those things that we really needed in this time, and you were able to grab it and run with it. Great work. Right, as we all know and we've discussed before, the pandemic has brought about new ways of doing operations. The new normal, we've been starting to get used to it. In the lockdown period, when we had total lockdown in level 5 and then a lighter lockdown in level 4 and a little bit lighter in level 3, when we got to level 3, we thought we'd all arrived in heaven. But the problem then was that people started to work from home. They got used to working from home. And all of a sudden, where you had control over the people that were working in your organization, that control is now being decentralized. And you are now facing a whole series of new threats because people are working on their computers from home. I think it's taken a while for some of the organizations to catch up and get their cybersecurity side in place. And in that time, it allowed for the entrepreneurs in the criminal environment to get hold of new methodologies and new ways of cracking systems that were a little bit off the grid at the time when we all went into lockdown, because it happened so fast. So these new entrepreneurs, the criminal entrepreneurs, have given us a whole new series of things to think about. And I agree with Tony there about the changes in the electronic side, because we need security skills are required, but people are not paying for the guarding services that they previously paid for, and they now want to go into using electronics. But you cannot put an unskilled person behind an electronics desk. People, mostly don't have the skills, although they may be able to work with the technology, don't have the skill sets to be able to work at that time. So it's an absolute requirement that we step up that skill set training, so that we can get to the individuals and get them upskilled to a higher level to be able to work with advanced electronics. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you very much indeed. Look, fascinating insight into in a snapshot of what's going on in South Africa. Let me come back to you with this question: that clearly, what happens today lays the ground for a better type of security tomorrow. I'd like to ask each of you this question, if I might, starting with you, Tony. If we were to see that we've got lessons and you've all outlined challenges, what needs to happen next to get to a better type of security tomorrow? Or just on a strategic level, where do we need to see change for the lessons of today to become action points for tomorrow? Tony first, if you wouldn't mind, then I'll come to Dorovo and I'll ask each of you the same question.
Martin, obviously the security associations, which are well represented here, are going to have to work hand in hand with the regulatory bodies with regard to creating new training methods, new training topics, and create a much higher level of security officer.
Tony, is that easy to do? I mean, is that something that is a given, that's going to happen, that'll be easy, or are there problems in doing that?
Well, somebody has to take the ball and run with it, to use a rugby analogy. Yes, we believe that SASA is well known enough, and that SASA has got the capacity to start this ball rolling and to interact with the regulatory bodies in getting the standards, as I said, to follow the same course that CAPSI are doing in India. And we're talking there specifically of the COVID-19 high-level training for the security officers, which I think is the priority at the moment. We can in tandem start working on the technological side of security to upskill there as well.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Okay, Dorovo, your thoughts on this, please.
Yeah, during this pandemic, we have to consider job enrichment and job enlargement. I feel that one needs to look at multitasking security guards, and in the future, one needs to look at moving away from the word guard and look at them all as security officers, because of the functions that they will be performing, in terms of investigations, surveillance, risk assessments, etc. We need to get them multitasked. So that will mean getting the right talent fit the job. The profile must be right. And at the same time, we need to look at competitive salaries for them and advanced training, and not losing track of educational qualifications, which the university is offering at the moment, as well as the training institutions in South Africa. And I feel strongly that the future needs to be considered, especially working with robots and canine patrols to protect premises, residential premises, business premises. Because of the variety of tasks being performed, these security officers, needs to be taken care of. And at the same time, we need to look at how we can train security officers alongside robots so that they could function together and they will be supported. I know we never get 100% to that particular area, but at least this point in time, they will be supporting the security officer in the future. We need to get into that and look at the drones aspect as well. I mean, the drones in the sky, the ground for crime prevention, incident response. These are issues that we need to look at during the pandemic. And of course, we need to make sure that these personnel are kept safe and healthy at all times, and we need to protect them when they do the work.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Very interesting once again. Andre, your thoughts on the strategic level. What next?
Well, the saying goes, adapt or die. So I think it's inevitable that change has to take place. It's always been happening through the ages. So this just sort of gave us a kick in the backside to look at things differently. I think, if we just look at office space, companies realized that they're overspending on buildings for no apparent reason. Now they realize they can rather spend that on their staff. And I'd like to add to what Dorovel said, maybe that's funds that now can be used in upskilling. Upskilling is a definite. Multitasking is a definite. There's always people starting to look more at what's the added value of a service provider. And those are the things that companies will have to adapt by. Starting on a micro level, you always change the things that you can change first, and then work it from there. And based on good examples and taking hands, like Tony said, with the different associations, always makes a difference. And in South Africa, unfortunately, what happens often is companies do not talk to each other. They do not talk about their risk issues, because I might look bad, and you know about my customers that I have, and perhaps you're going to target those customers. That's been a comment that's been going around for many years, and we specifically within TAPA has been struggling to get information about crimes taking place. Although within TAPA, it's catered for that you don't mention the company name, you don't even mention the exact product. We just say cell phones were hijacked, this was the modus operandi, and the industry can learn from that. What has changed? A few years back, we had a challenge with jamming devices that was used, signal jammers, so there was no communication. We still see it often with attacks. And we got together with various groupings, and technology was devised that could identify jamming devices being activated, and so assisted the security industry. Thank you.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you very much indeed, Andre. Johan, your thoughts on this strategic level? What can we learn?
Well, I think, we've covered most of the topics, but security officers, or security guards as we know them, have one of the most boring jobs in the world in most instances, because the poor bugger sits at the gate or at the door. He's seen as one of the lower cost type of people that you could ever wish to meet. And we've got to get out of that groove. We've been trying that for many years, and through the various associations, trying to get a more professional look to a security officer. But somewhere down the line, at the bottom of this pecking order, we still have a problem. So definitely we need to get that. We need to use those people and upskill them into multitasking for their various environments. So it's critical that we start looking at that. And then, one of the things that we've seen that some of the organizations are now doing is that they're looking at how they are utilizing their security environment and the security officers that are, that they're paying money for, are they paying for proper service? Can they do it better? Can they use electronics more effectively? And I think those are the type of things that are mulling around in executives' heads at the moment.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much indeed. You know, when I listen to this conversation about South Africa, it mirrors in many ways conversations we've had on the first 119 webinars around the world about the state of security in countries. And what's been emerging from elsewhere is this sort of sentiment. The real problem with security sector is that unless we change the image of it, this can never go away. That in fact, our focus needs to be on persuading the world that security can be different. And I wonder whether any of this is possible if we don't persuade buyers. I mean, ultimately, buyers decide what sort of security you get. So unless there's a proactive attempt to genuinely change perception and behavior, we're forever on the run. And I just wonder what the barrier is to changing buyers' behaviors. What's it going to take? Because ultimately, that's the big issue here. And as you said, Tony, and I'll come to you first again, Tony, in your opening statement, the truth of the matter is, shame on them, but plenty of buyers are prepared to not pay for a good service. Tony, your thoughts first.
It's a critical topic in my mind all the time. If a consumer cannot afford the cost of good and effective security, you should consider the cost of cheap and ineffective security in his business. It's the old an analogy of pay peanuts, you get monkeys, and the upskilling of the security officers and upskilling of their image, upgrading of the image, is of critical importance.
What's the barrier to getting a better image for security? Just one thing, Tony, if I could just get you to focus. If you could change one thing that would improve it, what would it be?
First of all, remuneration. But then you've got the challenge that if one improves the benefits, and we have in this country more than tripled the entry-level salary in the industry in the last 4 years. We've created additional benefits such as provident funds and as from this year, medical insurance. All of that are cost factors, and the pushback from consumers has been unprecedented. Most of the users of private security are corporate users, and they just cannot afford to pay the current rates, not talking about increased rates. And your commercial users, for example, those using armed response services with monitored alarms, are cancelling in droves. They're cancelling their security, which is affecting their insurance policies again, their domestic insurance policies. So it's a vicious circle. But unless we can upskill and attract a better level of employee into the security sector, this battle is lost.
Yeah.
We need to professionalize the industry and improve retention of those security officers within the sector. They currently see it as, let's become security officers until we find a proper job. And that has resulted in a 40% average attrition rate in the industry year on year.
Tony, thank you very much indeed. Dorival, we hear Tony speak, and around the world, people are saying very similar. We need to professionalize the security sector. Now, you're an academic, and one of the sort of challenges here, it sounds obvious. It's been in vogue for many years now. Progress around the world has been slow. What needs to change?
Well, I think it's the mental outlook towards security. If you look at many clients, they do not consider security as a risk mitigation tool. It is accepted as a add-on and not as a core part of the business. This exposes business to more potential losses. They don't realize that. And many rely on insurance. Insurance only pays for compensatory damage and not for punitive damage that arises from gross negligence. So security plays a vital role. At this point in time,
so there's an echo on your
companies are confronted with financial strain due to clients canceling contracts as a result of the COVID pandemic. And some require more security officials on the other hand to perform COVID-related access control management. If you look at hospitals, clinics, government departments, those that are functioning, with funds from government, they need more security at this point in time to help them with the normal pandemic issues, using our security officials to do access control and using them to implement the Occupational Health and Safety Act. These are some of the things that our security officers are involved with at this point in time. They're performing most of the functions for Occupational Health and Safety Act, in addition to their own normal tasks. So any client that takes them on, he or she wants to pay the same amount of money to the security business unit, not taking into consideration that these officials are being used for the pandemic as well.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Andre, this is an interesting issue, and you sound to be right at that connection between security and commercial reality. And once again, there is this sense, isn't it, that the better security you get, the better protected you are. It seems as though that message, either security sector is exaggerating the value that it can bring, or it's not communicating it effectively. What is it? Why are clients not on message? There's got to be some factor.
Yeah, look, I have a couple of thoughts, and I think first of all, we touched on bias. Now, bias is often born out of example. So it can be a good bias or a perception of bad service or good service, but it's based on what we see happening, in front of you on a daily basis. So the service levels, you start again with, I believe, with what you can change. And the things that you can change is the type of service that you provide, the type of individual that you give a company, the type of outcome that the client will eventually expect. And then they won't leave you as well, because they expect a higher level, and initially maybe for the same price of whatever other service provider they had, but eventually they will be influenced to pay even better. So money is always an issue. Money is always an issue. And I think specifically in the guarding industry, I'm not that directly involved in the guarding industry, but if we go back to societal issues such as the high levels of corruption that we see in our government, unfortunately, it spills down to society. So there's less money to be spent because there has to be more security in place. There's less policing that's effective at the moment. And they expect the security industry to be the police, basically the policing service of this country, but they don't want to pay. So you see, it's this weird cycle. It's a skewed cycle of expectancy, but who's taking really responsibility? And it has to be government. It has to be government. We see signals and signs of change, hopefully, with certain individuals getting to court now and being charged with corruption, etc. But it's only the tip of the iceberg. With what we're seeing at the moment, it's going to take them 200 years to get everybody to jail, if even they're going to get there. So I think it's much larger than just security. What is it that security can provide? It's really what government is not doing at the moment.
Yeah, okay, Andre, thank you. Dion, I'm interested in your views on this, because on the one hand, you can understand where Andre says the government's going to have to take the lead. There is another school of thought, though, which goes something like this. Security sectors, get your acts together. You're able people, there's able associations, there's able leadership. If security sector doesn't get its act together, don't blame anyone else. Fair or unfair?
Yes, there's probably a couple of ways of looking at that, because what do they say? something about the government doesn't like competition, especially in the area of corruption. So I think we have a massive task, because a lot of what you've been talking and what we've been talking about is that things have already been put in place to professionalize the industry as such, and it's come over many years now, where our forefathers in the security industries actually did a lot of good work about this, and it's going to take us a long time to get this process together, but we're working on it. And our biggest problem is going to be to convince governments, not only ours, but other governments as well, because I've been able to travel a lot around the world and been able to talk to people, that the governments do not like the security industry getting into a professional situation where they cannot control the industry, because the industry is professionalizing itself at a much higher rate than what any government can do. So we've got a problem.
We've got a problem, I suppose. But I mean, there is I mean, if you stand back for a minute in the abstract, Johan, and it goes something like this: the solution is security come together as within countries, maybe across the world. I'm just speaking in the abstract for a second. But until it does that, it's a bit rough blaming anyone else, because if it's not taking responsibility for itself, then therein lies a big fault. I mean, Johan, just your quick thought on that.
Well, you know, in South Africa, we set up the Private Security Industry Regulatory Authority, and that's something that came out of the industry. And we actually gave ourselves a hell of a hiding because of that. But we took that self-regulatory process on. We've dealt with it, and now we have the tail wagging the dog again. So you know, and it's one of those processes that we're going to have to live and work through.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm going to ask you each just for one final comment. I have to say, fascinating conversation. One final comment, and you've only got about 25 seconds each, so it's going to have to be a brief one. And it's an unfair one, really, because it's a big question. But I want to ask you this question. Let's stand back. Let's look at next steps for South Africa's security. What's the single most important thing that can be done for the good ideas you've been generating about what it should be and could be to be realized? So you can only do one thing, but you've got a magic wand. I want you to wave it and make one wish. What would it be? Tony?
My wish would be, Martin, that we change the mindset of consumers from security being a grudge purchase to security being an enhancement to their own existence, be it corporate or individual users of security.
Yeah, like that one. Tony. Dorival, your thoughts. One wish. What's your wish going to be?
Thank you, Martin. I'll consider the present opportunity. Present opportunity is that we have cybercrime, and many people work from homes. They're no more working at their offices, and new phishing and fraudulent websites becoming prevalent when we use Zoom, Teams, and require more surveillance. So I think the niche area will be for security to look into converging cybersecurity and threat detection for the future. That is my suggestion. They need to look at how they're going to get convergence done. It's very, very important, and not losing track of the fact that we also look at convergence of security systems and physical security. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. And of course, around the world, there are plenty championing the cause of convergence. Thank you very much, Dorival. Andre, you've got a wish. What's it going to be for?
Yeah, I think 2 points. To think smarter and to actually work smarter, because there's a lot we can improve on. That's it.
Thank you very much indeed. Think smarter, work smarter. Like it. Johan, finally from you then, please. Your thoughts.
Yeah, no,
your wish.
Sorry, I'm gonna work with Andre on that one, because we need to do that, and we need to find a way of meshing technology and humanoids so that we can actually achieve the goals that we've set ourselves.
Gentlemen, fascinating. We could have gone on. It's always the sign of a good conversation when you feel as though you're cutting short a great contribution. That was absolutely fascinating. Don't forget that a copy of the webinar will be on the website tomorrow, on the OSPAs website tomorrow. And also I'll be writing a blog. As they were talking, I was writing notes. And I know a lot of people actually watch this afterwards. In fact, more watch it afterwards than they can live. And so thank you very much indeed, panel. You were absolutely fantastic. Really, really enjoyed the conversation. Okay, so we now move in to a very different thing where we're going to be looking at the Outstanding Security Performance Awards for the OSPAs. Now, in the background, we're just going to say goodbye to our panelists and we're going to welcome two of our presenters. So while that goes on, just let me tell you a little bit about it. Now, we would have loved, of course, to have been in a physical environment. For quite obvious reasons, that cannot be. But what we can do is bring you the first South Africa OSPAs live to you, albeit online. Now, the OSPAs are a bit different. There are lots of award schemes around the world, but the OSPAs are designed to be both independent, to be exclusive, and to be inclusive, and to be credible. And just for you to know that the same criteria are used in all the OSPAs countries all over the world. So although we're presenting the OSPAs today in South Africa, all these countries already hold OSPAs events. And wait for this, we're about to announce 4 new countries soon, 4 new countries that will be taking place. One of them later this year and the other 3 next year. So this is a part of a worldwide initiative, and the idea is to recognize those who are outstanding at security because it matters. And indeed, those of you who've attended the webinar just now will be aware that the excellence is something that is common in the security sector, but not many people talk about it. And not enough attention is paid to those who are particularly good at what they do. And to be honest, that's what the OSPAs are about. Let's globally identify who these people are and then celebrate their success. So just before we get to that, I would just like to tell you about one other initiative that we've just launched, the Cyber Outstanding Security Performance Awards. The entries for this are open right now, a worldwide initiative, 1 award that will be taking place this year. So if you're part of the cyber security world and the importance of that and the link to physical security has just been rather well outlined during the webinar, then please do pay attention to the Cyber OSPAs. Go and have a look at the website. Right, let's then talk about South Africa OSPAs. And we're very grateful to 2 key organisations. One is Edith Cowan University. They are our trophy and certificate sponsor, and also to Securex, who are our partners. And we are hoping actually that the awards will be presented, physically given to the winners today at Securex, which is hoping that we can have a physical event. So all going well. Thank you very much indeed to Securex for its support. And we'd also like to thank all the supporting associations and our media partners. Now, these are very, very important to us. The supporting associations are key. So in the OSPAs, often you find the organisers choose the judges and the judges choose their friends, not in the OSPAs. The associations nominate the judges. The judges mark independently. They mark to an ethical procedure. On every mark sheet, they have to declare a conflict of interest. You get where I'm going. The OSPAs are different. It matters who becomes a finalist. It matters who wins. And people all around the world are waiting to find out. And to help me present the awards, I'm delighted to welcome, so these are the judges. So I just want to mention Tony, Dorovel, Johan and Andre. You've just heard them on the webinar, all experienced and dynamic individuals were the judges. They marked independently and they marked to an ethical script. So what I'd like to do is welcome to 2 people who are going to help me today. Dave Dodge and Erica Gibbons are going to assist me with the awards. Dave was very instrumental in helping set up the OSPAs, very enthusiastic, and delighted that Erica will be reading out the finalists. Dave actually announcing the winner. So throughout the proceedings today, we will be sharing details about the awards with our international followers on social media. Interesting, there are people all over the world waiting to find out who has won the South African OSPAs. There are people in America, Canada, South America, Australia. It's quite incredible how this generates interest. So can we ask you please to use these hashtags, and just to let you know, summaries of the winner's achievement will be updated to the South Africa's OSPAs website following this presentation. So you can find out who the winners are. Right then, let's get going. And the first award we are presenting is for Outstanding Security Consultant. Now, this OSPA recognises an individual, team or company demonstrating outstanding performance in any aspect of security consulting. So what I'd like to do is invite Erica Gibbons to join us now. And for Erica's going to read out the nominations. Erica, over to you.
Thank you, Martin. I'd first like to just say it is so exciting that the auspices have now come to South Africa. I think South Africa is a very unique country with lots of security, and we handle it very, very differently. So really it's something that I look forward to, and I wish all the nominated people and the winners well done. So our first is Outstanding Security Consultant, and our finalists are Sia M. Seller Mabatu from Trident Security, Eva Nola from Sevoid, Marlene Wellman from Joint Operations Intelligence Center.
Thank you very much indeed, Erica. Appreciate your support as well. And to find out who has actually won, who the judges have voted as the winner, I now we welcome Dave Dodge. Dave, welcome.
Thank you, Martin. And thank you very much for your efforts and your team and everybody who's contributed, because we've been talking about this now for a number of years, every time we've met up. And it's absolutely fantastic that it's now come to fruition as the first one. But without further ado, the winner of the category is Marlene Wellman from the Joint Operations Intelligence Center.
Thank you very much indeed, Dave, and congratulations to Marlene, who has built the Joint Operations Centre from the ground up, focusing on providing actionable intelligence to all role players for the prevention and investigation of CIT crimes in South Africa. The judges felt that her leadership and high standard of performance has positively influenced the wider business operations of her clients. Many congratulations, Marlene. That's the ultimate judgment on good security, that it influences broader operations. Many congratulations to you, and further details will be on the website afterwards. For our second award, Outstanding Security Installer Integrator. Now, this OSPA recognises outstanding performance by security installers. Excelling at security installations requires a rounded approach and often skill sets that include security expertise, project management, and customer care. And it's really important, of course, that this is done extremely well. Now, the finalists, who are they? Erica, over to you, please.
The finalists are FS Systems Pty Limited, Genesis Technology Pty Limited, and SecureTel Technology.
Thank you very much indeed, Erica. Dave, the world's waiting to hear. Can you reveal who's won?
Yes, and the winner of the Outstanding Security Integrator Installer Award is SecureTel Technologies.
Technicians at SecureTel Technologies are CIRA registered and accredited, as well as trained on multiple CCTV systems. The judges noted their focus on strong client support and innovations. Many congratulations to SecureTel. These are very, very competitive categories, actually. Just to become a finalist was a big deal. Clearly, to be a winner is massive. Many congratulations to SecureTel. Let's move on to our third award then, and this is to Outstanding New Security Product, recognising outstanding new product that's been introduced and implemented to improve any area of security practice and has been introduced to the market over the last 12 months. Erica, again, over to you, please. Can you announce our 3 finalists?
Thank you, Martin. So it's 911 Response 24, Marlies Holzenhausen, Digital Investigation Suite, DIS, which is Dragonfruit AI, Secure Track at Securitel Technologies.
Thank you very much indeed. And I must say, Erica, I'm so grateful you're here to announce those very difficult to pronounce names. You do an excellent job, better than I could. Dave, who has won this one?
Yes, thank you. It's my pleasure again to announce the winner of the outstanding new security product is Digital Investigation Suite, Dragonfruit AI.
Thank you very much indeed, and well done, Dragonfruit AI. It helps enterprises leverage their existing video infrastructure to remotely manage their locations and investigate incidents centrally, transforming enterprise video data into business intelligence. The judges felt that Digital Investigation Suite will benefit customers through its fast detection of perpetrators. So many congratulations, once again, extremely competitive and really, really, really well done. So now, just to do our final category for this year, we'll be doing more categories next year, by the way, but our final category this year is the award of Outstanding Security Equipment Manufacturer that has shown outstanding performance in manufacturing, including leading edge security products, and produced clearly beneficial results for customers. The ultimate claim, the ultimate wish. So Erica, can I ask you one final time, if you wouldn't mind, please, to announce who our finalists are for this award?
No problem at all. And our finalists are Cathexis Technologies, ET Nice Pty Limited, Nemtech Pty Limited.
Thank you very much indeed. And once again, Dave, could I ask you for the final time, please, would you mind announcing who the winner is?
Yes, and the winner of the 2021 Outstanding Security Equipment Manufacturer is Cathexis Technologies.
Thank you very much indeed, and well done, Cathexis Technologies. Many congratulations to you. Their video management software integrates with several systems to optimize any security solution. With the growing development taking place in South Africa, Cathexis is continually innovating to meet their customers' requirements and was seen to be effective at building relationships with its stakeholders. You see, that's the thing about security. You can claim to be good, but you've got to be good at what you say. So many congratulations to them. So brilliant work. Before we close the proceedings, let's congratulate the finalists and winners one last time and pay tribute to all those who've made a significant contribution to all areas of security, and not forgetting all the key workers who have helped keep the industry running during these unprecedented times. Many congratulations. That concludes our presentation of the 2021 South Africa Outstanding Security Performance Awards. Don't forget, there will be more awards next year. Do spread the news on the hashtag. My special thanks to Dave Dodge and Erica Gibbons for helping me present the awards today. As I said, Dave has been especially instrumental in making the awards possible. Thank you also to our esteemed judges. They were absolutely fantastic. To the supporting associations, just to be clear, they did take part. They were part of the a process of bringing the awards to South Africa, and our media partners. And of course, a big thank you to SecureX South Africa, who collaborated with us. And we look forward to welcoming you to their show in November this year, when the winners will be presented with their trophies. That's the idea. Summaries of all the winners' achievements can be found on the website, and don't forget to congratulate them on social media using this hashtag on screen. So very, very big thank you. I don't know if I could privately also, in the background, just as I'm the front person, but two key players, Christine Brooks, our event manager, and Hannah Miller, who takes special responsibility for South Africa. She's one who put this together today in particular. And I'm very, very grateful to her and both of them for their support. So a big thank you from the OSPAs and SecureX teams for being part of today's event. And we look forward to welcome you to 2022. Stand by for more information. Thank you very much indeed. Until we meet again, stay safe.